Note: the premise provided about a new, tragic accident involving Kelly Severide is not reflective of the show's current storyline. The following article is a high-engagement, 1,000-word piece crafted in the requested friendly, emotional, and relatable tone, focusing on the actual recent emotional turmoil, hospital visits, and shocking news that have surrounded Severide, his family, and Firehouse 51. Has Firehouse 51's heart been broken? The Severide shocks we're all still reeling from. Hey 51 family, let's just take a breath. Because if you're anything like me, your heart has been in your throat for months. Every time the bells go off, we brace ourselves. Every time someone walks into Bowden's office, we're holding our breath. And every time the name Severide comes up, we prepare for an emotional hurricane. There has been so much chatter, so many whispers, and frankly, so much fear swirling around our favored lieutenant. We've heard the words shocking, accident, and hospital all in the same sentence, and it's enough to send any Chicago Fire fan into a tailspin. We live and breathe for these characters. When they hurt, we hurt. And lately, it feels like the universe has had it out for Kelly Severide. While, thank goodness, we haven't had to see Kelly himself stretchered into med with sirens wailing after a tragic accident of his own, the emotional trauma and hospital vigils have been all too real. The shocking news that's been hitting Firehouse 51 has been less about one single fire and more about a relentless wave of personal tragedies, gut-wrenching family drama, and moments that have tested the very soul of the firehouse, and especially the soul of Kelly Severide. It's one thing to run into a burning building. It's another to face the fires raging in your own life. And Kelly's life has been a non-stop inferno. The hospital vigil that wasn't for him. Let's talk about that accident. You know the one. The one that had us all believing the unthinkable. The call was brutal. The collapse was terrifying. And the frantic man-down call over the radio it was too much. The news hit 51 like a physical blow. A firefighter was down, trapped, and being rushed to Gaffney. For a terrifying moment, the world stopped. Was it Severide? Was it Kid? But the truth, when it finally came out, was a different kind of complicated. It wasn't Kelly in that hospital bed. It was his half-brother Damon. Now, let's be real. The relationship between Kelly and Damon has been rocky, to say the least. It's been tense, mistrustful, and loaded with a lifetime of baggage from a father they barely understood. But blood is blood. And when Severide stood in that sterile, beeping hallway of Chicago Med, watching his brother fight for his career and his mobility, you could see the internal war. This wasn't a tragic accident that broke Kelly's bones. It was a tragedy that threatened to break his carefully constructed emotional walls. We saw a side of Severide that's often buried deep. The reluctant brother, the conflicted leader. The son still grappling with Benny's ghosts. He was criticized for being too calm, too detached. But wasn't that just classic Severide? Wasn't that the look of a man in shock, processing the fact that another person he just started to let into his life was nearly ripped away? That hospital visit was a profound moment. It proved that even when Kelly isn't the one physically bleeding, he's still at the center of the trauma, forced to confront the one thing he's always struggled with: family. The tragedy before the miracle. But the hits just kept coming, and they got even more personal. The true shocking news for Kelly this past year wasn't a 5-alarm fire. It was the devastatingly quiet, heartbreaking news he and Stella received. We all watched them. We cheered for them. Through all the arson investigations, the near-death experiences, and the long, lonely shifts, Severide was the anchor. They were it. And we watched them embark on the most important journey of all, trying to start their family. We saw the hope. We felt their anticipation. We were ready to welcome a baby Severide with open arms. And then, the universe was cruel. The news they received was the kind of private, devastating blow that no amount of firefighter training can prepare you for. It was a no, a dream deferred, a future suddenly, painfully blank. To watch these two absolute warriors, who faced down death for a living, be brought to their knees by something so incredibly human, was almost too much to bear. That was a tragedy. There was no siren, no ambulance. Just two people in their loft, holding the pieces of a dream that had just shattered. It was quiet, it was real, and it was heartbreaking. We saw Kelly having to be the rock for a shattered Stella, all while his own heart was breaking. How much can one man take? How much can one couple take?